Thank you, Liz. And I just want to say, first of all, it's an honor to stand here in front of the best secular student activists in the nation. So let's just start off with a big round of applause. And so let's get you motivated to talk about media and why it's important.
Push forward button?
I got a point. So media, secular pieces in the media create dialogue and inject ideas into public discourse. This is a great way secularists use media. Look at the AHA ads. Look at the Freedom from Religion Foundation billboard ads. It injects ideas into the media. It gets people talking. So we really need to keep that up. It legitimizes secular ideas and secular groups. When people see us in the media, they say, wow, this is a big piece. You know, New York Times, local media, they say, this is a gang movement. This is a big thing. This is worth my time to look into. They connect the dots with other people. They let closeted secularists know they're not alone. Going back to AHA, the billboards. Don't believe in God, you're not alone. Which, by the way, is a very brilliant way to advertise, because not only are they getting a billboard to advertise with, but they're getting more free advertisement from the controversy from the billboard. So great strategy, really good job. And it's a free way, right? How much money does American Humanist Association and Freedom from Religion Foundation pay? It's worth it, but these pieces are free. We can reach thousands of people. I mean, New York Times, front page, all of the internet. How many people do you think that reached? It had to reach thousands with this message. So it's a great thing. So I want to talk about becoming ready, and it's my opinion. And by the way, there's lines. Just take notes in the handout. Don't rush in. The only reason you should be doing a media piece in the first few months, in my opinion, is if the media is coming to you with a piece about, oh, there's a new atheist group in our backyard, so we should do a piece on it. That's the only reason. You need to have some events you've done so you can talk to them about that, and you can have a repertoire, so to speak, of something you can brag about. Another good thing to do to become ready is you gotta keep up with the news that's going on in the broader movement, so you can relate it to your local community. When we did the American Religious Identification Survey, where we said that South Carolina, the nuns are growing to a huge number from 10 years ago. How does my group play into that? So a good way to do that, by the way, is keep up with blogs, action alerts, all those things. A good place is Hamon's blog, The Friendly Atheist. Check that out. He does a good job of keeping the news up to date. And when you're getting ready to talk to media, give them something relevant to talk about. One of the pieces was Dan Barker coming to South Carolina. Why is it relevant? It's South Carolina, and it's one of America's leading atheists. He's coming to your community. That's relevant, because we're having a debate about the existence of God. A few hours away from Bob Jones University and all these, very, very religious state. So, and what are you doing in the future? In a piece, we gave a little teaser that Dawkins is coming to our university to get them talking about it and get people riled up about that. So let's continue. Now let's talk about playing the game. What you want to do is get a group business card. I use group business cards all the time. I get made fun of for it a lot by a lot of people because, they laugh when I hand them a card that has a Pastafarian flying spaghetti monster on it. But it really does work. It gets your name out there. It's a good way to network. And SSA can provide these for you for free. So request them if you don't have them already. It's great. Keep them in your pocket everywhere you go because you never know who you'll run into. It's a good thing to just hand out. Obtain a business casual outfit. And we'll come back to this later for why that's important. Be reachable. Always respond to inquiries immediately. When I learned that New York Times wanted to do a story on Pastafarians, I was 10 minutes before I was going to my Spanish class at school. And I talked to David Silverman, the communications director of American Atheists, on the phone, and I said, well, I really got to go to Spanish class. I've already missed 2 classes. They only allow 3 absences, that's pretty important. And he said, you know, you need to call her back immediately. And my teacher understood that. You know, I said, you know, look, I had to talk to a New York Times reporter, so could you, you know, let me off a little bit? And going on that too, save up your absences, because as a secular leader, you never know when you'll need them. You never know when the New York Times is going to call you. I mean, that's what happened to me. And they just called me because I won the American Atheist Founders Scholarship, and they were doing a story, and I was in the right time, in the right place. So, you know, don't save those days for hangover days. Save them for the movement. Save at least one day for the movement, let's say that. And next, treat your organization like a business. Just always be professional. Now that we've networked, we need to know when to use contacts. And this is common sense, but I think it needs to be mentioned. I have Lori Goodstein's number in my cell phone. New York Times reporter. Do I call her when my group is having a movie showing to 20 people in my local community of Columbia, South Carolina? She probably doesn't care about that. So don't do something like that. Don't send out constant press releases for a normal meeting or something that is really not that important for media to be, you know, interested in. Because when they see that over and over and over again, they're just going to assume that what you're sending them is garbage and it's not worth anything. They're not going to read it anymore. So make sure when you're sending out things that it's worth reading. Don't use a contact over and over and over again. Diversify, right? And also, say what you will about the media, but they have to be somewhat, they have to have integrity somewhat now. And they're not going to do a story on you week after week after week after week, because people are going to go, you know, are they friends? What's going on here? Why are they getting so much coverage? So they're not going to do it constantly. You got to space it out. So be strategic in what you decide to put out to the media. So when they take a story, it's a big story. It's not your movie showing. It's a debate happening on your campus that brought out 500 people. Something relevant. So again, diversify and pace yourself. Get the most bang for your story. And don't alienate your contacts or creep them out. In other words, don't be like Andy Bernard from The Office. And for those of you who don't watch The Office, he's very pompous. He's very fake to his boss to try to get FaceTime with him and move up in the company. Poor anger management. So obviously you don't want to have that. But at the same time, don't follow around people begging for leads, like a sick puppy, right? Because they're going to see through that. Give them their distance. Remember, the bang for the story is what we're looking for. And don't be a suck-up. Find the right balance between being sincere, professional, and polite. And, you know, mirroring what Sean Fairclough said, be a real person. You'll see that, and it'll bode better for your story. So, let's prepare for interactions. When you set up an interview, be clear what you're going to talk about, because if you don't have any idea what you're going to talk about, then it's not going to go very well. What I do before I go is I say, okay, what's this story about? It's not just about my group in general. What specifically is it about? Okay, it's about ARIS, right? It's about that survey. So know what questions you think they're going to ask. Like, what is your group doing, do you think, to contribute to this rising number? Or, you know, something similar to that. But the thing is, you don't want to sound rehearsed when you do it. You want to sound natural. So just go over general points. Don't memorize word for word every sentence you're going to say to them. But know what you're going to say. And also, speaking of the ARIS, know the empirical facts to back up what you're saying, which was already said earlier. This legitimizes what you're saying. If you don't know the facts, obviously don't lie again. But that is a very good thing. Media like facts. They like to hear you say empirical data. Now we're going to talk about controlling image. And this is what I tell all my members and Pastafarians. I tell them that you are an ambassador for secularism. Don't just pay your values lip service, actually live them. And you may be wondering, what does that have to do with media? If you're talking to a camera about why humanistic values are better or similar or just as good as Christian values, and you haven't worked an hour of community service in your lifetime, and you're doing all sorts of unethical things that people know about, it's going to be hard to look that camera and look at the reporter in the face and tell them why they should take a look at humanism or secular values. So live that, and it'll reflect in the pieces that you do. And it'll also attract pieces, because people will see that you're a good person. I believe in karma, not in a supernatural sense, but good things come back. So be a good person in general, and it will really help. Also, know the dynamics and the personalities of your group. You know your group well, right? You know the personalities. There are some people who are really good at putting out press releases. There are some people who are good at talking in front of people. There are others who are going to put their foot in their mouth. They're going to say something really, really offensive or whatever. So those people that are going to say the offensive things, find something better for them to do that contribute. That you include them in your group, right? But you're not putting in front of a camera, because that's gonna really hurt not just your group, but secularists at large. Because a lot of you students, maybe you're in a group where you're the only secular group in your community. Maybe there's not an adult group around you, so you are the mouthpiece of secularism in your community. That's how we are in Pastafari. We have one other adult group, but they're more of a social group. So basically everything we say in Columbia is what the secularists are saying at the national level. We are their representative. It's a big honor, but it's a big responsibility. So remember that. And now this is where your business casual suit comes in and controlling your image. I just have a question. Who looks more credible to you? Whoops, that's the next slide. On. The public has a hard enough time with their ideas. So don't lend them any distractions, right? Look like you just came out of the nearest church. Because I know. I love Slayer shirts and ripped jeans and all that. In high school, and in the car when I'm not in front of a camera, I'm rocking. But, when you're in front of a camera, and I made a mistake at least once of wearing, rock t-shirts, and I've tried to grow out of that and become a professional, but just leave all that stuff away and get that business casual outfit and wear it. Because, that puts the least amount of differences. All they have to do is focus on your ideas. They don't have to focus on your appearance and all that. And it's not fair that we're being judged more harshly, but it's a fact. It's a fact because, we're atheists, right? We have horns. So we're being judged. And remember, everyone's looking at you, and you're representing a lot of people, so make us proud. Now, this is where that slide comes in handy. Who looks more credible to you? These people? Or these people? Just to illustrate the point. Now, let's talk about interacting with the media and delivery. I think someone else is going to go over this in more in depth, so I'm not going to go too much in depth, but I want you to be mindful of the nature of media, because current media, it's quick. It's like every piece I've done, I've talked for 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds. You're not going to get up there and ramble. You shouldn't, because you're going to get cut out. I've seen people do that. They get up there and they ramble, they talk for a minute. They're not included in the piece. If you want your voice to be included in the piece, you got to be succinct. I'm not saying be dumb. I'm not saying, but you can be intelligent and thoughtful, but don't ramble. And also keep in mind that the general public doesn't understand all your positions. So, word things very straightforward so that they understand. So be succinct, direct, straightforward, and say the rest for your book or blog. That's the best thing to do. Let's ensure positive coverage. The media is run by people too, just like your legislators. They're not robots, they're people, right? Good impressions sculpt the attitude of the reporter, and I've seen this. Laura Goodstein, we had a great time. We took her to dinner. We treated her like, she was really nice, and we had a good time. And I know this came out in the piece, which I'm going to show you later. But we want to relay that positive instance and that experience with that reporter to the public via the story. So hopefully that they'll take away a positive attitude as well. And this is the cycle we want to keep going, right? So I want to talk about an example from our New York Times piece. This is an objective way of saying what was said, but it says Josh Streetman, who once attended the very Christian college that the Pastafarians were about to debate, said he knew the Bible too well to be sure that the scripture is true. Like Mr. Streetman, many of the other students at the meeting were highly literate in the Bible and religious history. In keeping with the new generation of atheist evangelists, the Pastafarian leaders say that the goal is not confrontation or even winning converts. Wait, I'm reading the second one, sorry. In keeping with the new generation of atheist evangelists, the Pastafarian leaders say that the goal is challenging commonly held beliefs in society. This is evident in their multiple activities and events which explore and question different aspects of religion. They plan to continue to fight for public approval and changes in perception in their campus and elsewhere. So it's very objective, it's kind of neutral, maybe a tad positive, maybe a tad negative. You know, you can tell that what they're saying is it's not really understanding what we're about, maybe. It's just not the best way of going about talking about us. But this is what the article did say. After we had a nice dinner, we were nice, you know, all that. And this is not fake. No, don't think I'm saying that. We were legitimately nice to her. We treated her like she was a guest. This is what the article did say. Josh Streetman, who once attended the very Christian college the Pastafarians were about to debate, said he knew the Bible too well to be sure that the scripture is true. Like Mr. Streetman, many of the other students at the meeting were highly literate in the Bible and religious history. She just reported that as a fact. She said that we were highly literate. We weren't interested, you know, which is the same. It's still objective. We're still interested in the history. She said that we're highly literate, right? And keeping with the new generation of atheist evangelists, the Pastafarian leaders say that their goal is not confrontation or even winning converts, but changing the public stereotype of atheists. That's recognizing that there is a stereotype of atheists right there. It's not saying we're trying to change some idea. It's recognizing the stereotype. My favorite Pastafarian activity is to gather at the busy crossroads on campus with a sign offering free hugs from your friendly neighborhood atheists. We talked about several events that we did, and she picked the most positive event that she could find, and she put it there because she legitimately liked us as people, and she saw that there are stereotypes that we're trying to combat here. So that is the difference. If you look at the first slide from this slide, this is what you can do, and then that to the public is a big difference, and hopefully they will internalize these positive images of secular people. So this is what we want to do. We want to attain more recognition in the media. We want to increase membership and participation in our organizations. We want to influence a more positive conception of secular people and ideas. This is what we did in the New York Times article. And I'm sick of seeing a religious piece with 3 Christian pastors talking about the separation of church and state, talking about atheism. Atheists are the only people who can talk about atheism with, you know, and do it justice, right? So let's secure our permanent place at the table. Let's keep doing this in our communities as secular student groups. And let's get a permanent place at the table. And every time they talk about religion, there's that atheist commentator that we have right there. And I think that will bode well for us in the future. So I think that's about it. Thank you.